The ship's alarm screamed through the small cockpit as Commander Sam Chen fought with the controls. Red warning lights flashed across every surface, while the planet Xerion grew larger in his view screen. His exploration vessel spun wildly as it fell through the purple atmosphere. "Come on, stay together," Sam muttered, pulling hard on the steering controls. Sparks flew from damaged circuits behind him. The ship had been hit by some kind of energy storm while scanning the planet's surface. Now his engines were dead and his communication system was completely broken. The ground rushed up fast. Sam could see strange crystal formations scattered across violet deserts. Tall spires of what looked like glass rose from the landscape like frozen lightning. He had never seen anything like this world before. His ship crashed into a sandy hill with a thunderous sound. The impact threw Sam forward against his safety straps. Metal groaned and twisted around him. Smoke filled the cockpit as several small fires started in the damaged electronics. Sam unbuckled himself and grabbed his emergency pack. The ship's hull was cracked open in 3 places. Through the largest crack, he could see the alien sky above. 2 purple suns hung in the heavens, casting everything in strange shadows. He climbed out through the wreckage and looked around. The air was thin but breathable according to his scanner. The landscape stretched endlessly in every direction. Massive crystal towers rose from the desert floor like ancient monuments. Some were clear as glass while others glowed with inner light. The temperature was dropping fast. Sam's breath began to form clouds in the cooling air. He needed shelter soon, or the desert cold would freeze him during the night cycle. Walking toward the nearest crystal structure, Sam noticed carved patterns in its surface. These were not natural formations. Someone had built these towers long ago. As he got closer, he could see that the carving showed figures in flowing robes. The artwork was beautiful but alien. The tower had an opening near its base. Sam approached carefully, his hand resting on the energy weapon at his side. The entrance was oval-shaped and perfectly smooth. No doors or barriers blocked his way. Inside, the crystal walls gave off a soft blue light. The floor was made of the same material as the walls. Sam's footsteps echoed strangely in the empty space. A spiral path led upward through the center of the tower dot as he climbed. Sam began to hear something unusual. It sounded like singing, but the voice was unlike anything human. The melody was sad and beautiful at the same time. The sound seemed to come from somewhere above him, following the singing voice. Sam climbed higher into the tower. The spiral path opened into a large circular room near the top. In the center of this space, he saw something that made him stop breathing. A female figure hung suspended in the air, wrapped in chains of pure energy. The chains glowed white-hot and hummed with power. The woman appeared to be unconscious, her head hanging forward. She wore robes of deep purple that seemed to flow like water even though she was not moving. Sam had never seen anyone like her. Her skin was pale silver and seemed to glow with its own light. Her hair was long and white as starlight. She was taller than any human woman, with graceful limbs and delicate features. But it was clear she was not human. As Sam stepped closer, the woman's head lifted. Her eyes opened and looked directly at him. Those eyes were the color of deep space, dark blue with tiny points of light like distant stars. She stared at him with surprise and something that might have been hope. The woman tried to speak, but the words were in a language Sam had never heard. Her voice was musical, like the singing he had heard earlier. She gestured toward the energy chains that held her prisoner. Sam walked around the floating woman, studying the chains carefully. They were not made of metal or any physical material. Pure energy held her in place, controlled by some kind of technology he did not understand. The chains were connected to 6 crystal pillars that surrounded her. The woman spoke again, more urgently this time. Even though Sam could not understand her words, he could hear the desperation in her voice. She had been trapped here for a long time. Sam pulled out his scanner and pointed it at the energy chains. The device beeped and showed readings he had never seen before. The power source was incredibly advanced, far beyond human technology. But every machine had weaknesses. "I'm going to help you," Sam said, even though he knew she probably could not understand him. "Just give me some time to figure this out." The woman's star-filled eyes widened when she heard him speak. She tilted her head and listened carefully as Sam continued talking while he worked. These chains are quantum locked, Sam explained, mostly to himself. The energy patterns are incredibly complex. But look here, he pointed to one of the crystal pillars. There's a small fluctuation in the power flow. If I can disrupt that pattern, maybe the whole system will fail. As Sam worked, the woman began to repeat some of his words. Her pronunciation was careful and slow, but she was learning. When Sam said help, she repeated it back to him. When he said his name, she tried to copy the sounds. Hours passed as Sam studied the prison system. His fingers flew over his portable computer, running calculations and simulations. The woman watched everything he did with intense interest. Sometimes she would make soft sounds that seemed encouraging. During this time, Sam learned that the woman's name sounded like Zara when she said it. She pointed to herself and spoke the name several times until Sam could repeat it correctly. When he said Zara, she smiled for the first time. Her smile was radiant, like the dawning of a new day. Sam also learned that Zara was incredibly intelligent. She began to understand his tools and equipment just by watching him use them. When he showed her star charts on his computer screen, her eyes lit up with recognition. She pointed to specific systems and spoke rapidly in her own language. You know these places. Sam said with amazement, "You've been to other star systems. Your people are space travelers, just like humans." Zara nodded vigorously. She pointed to herself and then made sweeping gestures toward the sky. She spoke a single word that sounded like Queen. Then she pointed to the chains holding her and shook her head sadly. Sam understood. Zara was royalty of some kind, but her own people had imprisoned her here. The question was why. As Sam worked through the night cycle, Zara taught him more words in her language. She also learned many English words from him. Their communication improved slowly but steadily. Sam discovered that Zara had a beautiful singing voice, and that music seemed to be important to her people. When the two purple suns rose again, Sam was exhausted but determined. He had found several weak points in the quantum lock system. By carefully overloading specific crystal pillars in the right sequence, he might be able to break the energy chains. This is dangerous, Sam explained to Zara as he prepared his equipment. If I make a mistake, the feedback could hurt you. But if we do nothing, you'll stay trapped forever. Zara looked into his eyes and spoke slowly in English. I trust Sam. Her words hit Sam harder than he expected. This alien woman, this queen from the stars, was willing to risk everything because she believed in him. No one had ever shown such faith in Sam's abilities before. Sam began the delicate work of disrupting the quantum locks. He used his laser cutter to create tiny fractures in the crystal pillars, while his computer monitored the energy flows. Each cut had to be precise to avoid causing dangerous feedback. Sweat dripped from Sam's forehead as he worked. The energy patterns were shifting constantly, making his job even harder. One mistake would trap Zara forever or worse. On the fourth pillar, something went wrong. The energy surge was too strong, and the chain around Zara's left arm began to burn brighter. She cried out in pain as the heat increased. Hold on, Sam shouted. He abandoned his careful approach and attacked the remaining pillars with everything he had. Sparks flew as his laser cutter overheated. His computer screen cracked from electrical feedback. The room filled with blinding light as the quantum lock system finally collapsed. The energy chains disappeared with a sound like breaking glass. Zara fell toward the crystal floor, but Sam caught her in his arms for a moment. They looked at each other without speaking. Zara was free for the first time in years. Her silver skin was warm against Sam's hands, and her star-filled eyes were bright with tears of joy. Thank you, Sam, she whispered in careful English. You saved Zara. Before Sam could respond, the crystal tower began to shake. The destruction of the quantum locks had damaged the tower's structural integrity. Cracks appeared in the walls as the building started to collapse. Sam helped Zara to her feet, and they ran toward the spiral path. Behind them, pieces of crystal fell from the ceiling. The tower groaned and swayed like a dying giant. They reached the base of the tower just as the top section broke away. Massive chunks of crystal crashed to the ground around them. Sam pulled Zara away from the falling debris, shielding her with his own body. When the destruction finally stopped, they found themselves at the edge of the Crystal City. But they were not alone. Dozens of figures in purple robes stood among the other towers, watching them with hostile eyes. "Zerati," Zera said quietly. "My people." The robed figures began to move toward them. Sam could see weapons in their hands. Energy staffs that glow with the same power that had held Zera prisoner. "Are they here to rescue you?" Sam asked hopefully. Zera shook her head sadly. "They exile Zera. Zera refused to make war on peaceful worlds. Council says Zera is weak. They leave Zera in prison to die." Sam felt anger burning in his chest. These people had abandoned their own queen because she refused to attack innocent civilizations. They had left her to suffer alone in an energy prison. "Then we run," Sam said simply. "I won't let them hurt you again." But before they could move, a crystalline storm began forming in the distance. The air itself seemed to turn solid as billions of tiny crystal fragments swirled through the atmosphere. The storm moved fast, heading directly toward the city. The Zerati people panicked. They ran in all directions, seeking shelter from the approaching disaster. Some were not fast enough. Sam watched in horror as several figures were caught by the edge of the storm. The crystal fragments tore through their robes like knives. "We have to help them," Sam said. Even though these same people had wanted to capture Zera, Zera stared at him with amazement. "They are enemies. Why Sam help enemies?" Sam was already running toward the trapped Zerati. "Because it's the right thing to do." The storm was almost upon them. Sam reached the first fallen figure, an elderly Zerati who had been knocked down by the wind. The crystal fragments were already cutting through the air around them. Sam grabbed the old Zerati and half-carried, half-dragged him toward a nearby tower. The entrance was narrow, but they made it inside just as the storm hit with full force. The sound was deafening, like standing inside a tornado made of broken glass. Sam ran back into the storm 3 more times, rescuing injured Zerati each time. Zera watched from the safety of the tower, her star-filled eyes wide with disbelief. No Zerati would risk their life for an enemy. But Sam did it without hesitation. On his final trip, Sam was caught too far from shelter when the storm intensified. Crystal fragments tore at his clothes and cut his skin. He stumbled and fell, unable to see through the swirling chaos. Then Zera was there beside him. She had left the safety of the tower to help him. Together, they made it back to shelter as the storm raged around the Crystal City dot inside the tower. Sam and Zera found themselves surrounded by the Zerati people Sam had rescued. The aliens stared at him with confusion and something that might have been gratitude. They spoke among themselves in rapid, musical voices. One of them, an elderly female with intricate patterns carved into her silver skin, approached Sam slowly. She spoke to him in accented English. "Human saves, Zerati lives." "Why humans show mercy to strangers?" Sam looked at the injured people around him. "Because you're not strangers. You're people who needed help. That's what humans do." The elderly Zerati translated Sam's words for the others. A murmur of amazement passed through the group. They had never encountered a species that would risk their lives for outsiders. Zera moved closer to Sam. Her hand found his, and she held it gently. Sam shows Zerati what Zera tried to teach Council. Not all species are enemies. Some have hearts like ours. The storm raged for hours. During this time, Sam shared his emergency food supplies with the hungry Zerati. He used his medical kit to treat their injuries. Most importantly, he talked to them about human values and beliefs. The Zerati were fascinated by human concepts like democracy and individual choice. Their society was rigid and hierarchical, ruled by councils that made decisions for everyone. The idea that people could choose their own leaders was revolutionary to them. When the storm finally passed, the Zerati people gathered around Sam and Zera. The elderly female who had spoken to Sam earlier stepped forward. "Council was wrong about Queen Zera," she announced. "Human Sam shows us truth. Not all outsiders are threats. Some are teachers." The other Zerati nodded in agreement. They had seen Sam's compassion with their own eyes. They had experienced human kindness firsthand. But their moment of peace was interrupted by new rivals. More Zerati appeared at the tower entrance. But these wore different robes marked with symbols of authority. They were members of the ruling council that had exiled Zera, the council leader. A tall male with scars across his silver face pointed an energy staff at Sam. Outlander corrupts loyal citizens. He must be eliminated. Zera stepped between Sam and the council leader. Sam saved your people from storm. He risks life for Zerati strangers. How is this corruption? Weakness spreads like disease, the council leader replied coldly. First you refused to conquer peaceful worlds. Now you protect alien intruder. You have forgotten what it means to be Zerati. No, Zera said firmly. You have forgotten what it means to be worthy of ruling. The rescued Zerati people began to speak up in support of Zera and Sam. They told the council about Sam's heroic actions during the storm. They described his compassion and selflessness. But the council leader was not swayed. Sentiment will not protect our empire from enemies. Only strength matters. Only conquest brings security, as tension filled the air. Zera moved closer to Sam. She looked into his eyes with an expression of wonder and something deeper. Sam. She whispered in English, her voice barely audible above the arguing voices around them. Zera belongs with Sam now. Human teaches Zera about true strength. The simple words carried enormous meaning. A queen of an alien empire had chosen to align herself with a human stranger. She had seen something in Sam's character that her own people had failed to understand. Sam felt his heart racing as he realized what Zera was saying. Despite the danger surrounding them, despite the vast differences between their species, she was choosing him. She was choosing the path of compassion over the path of conquest. The confrontation with the council was far from over, but in that moment, Sam knew that everything had changed. Zera's whispered words had sealed their bond and set them on a course that would transform both their peoples forever. The two purple suns began to set over the crystal city, painting the sky in shades of violet and gold. Whatever challenges lay ahead, Sam and Zera would face them together. The council leader raised his energy staff higher, pointing it directly at Sam's chest. The weapon hummed with deadly power, ready to fire at any moment. Around them, the rescued Zerati people shifted nervously, unsure whether to support their former queen or obey the council's authority. Step away from the Outlander, Zera, the council leader commanded. Your exile ends now, but only if you return to your proper role. Forget this human weakness and help us prepare for the next conquest. Zera stood firm between Sam and the weapon. Her silver skin seemed to glow brighter as anger filled her voice. There will be no more conquests while I live. The Zerati Empire has caused enough suffering across the galaxy. Then you choose to die with your pet human, the council leader sneered. His finger moved toward the firing trigger of his energy staff. Before he could shoot, Sam stepped forward with his hands raised peacefully. Wait, before you kill me, answer one question. How many Zerati died in your last 3 wars? The council leader hesitated, confused by the unexpected question. What does it matter? Victory requires sacrifice. Millions, said the elderly female Zerati who had first spoken to. Sam, millions of our people died, conquering worlds that offered us nothing but empty land and bitter enemies. Other rescued Zerati began to speak up, sharing stories of family members lost in pointless wars, sons and daughters who never returned from distant battlefields, parents who died defending conquered worlds that rebelled against Zerati rule. Sam listened carefully to each story, then addressed the council leader directly. Your way of ruling is killing your own people. Zera wanted to stop the dying. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. Humans know nothing of leadership, the council leader shot back. Your species is young and foolish. Maybe, Sam replied. But we know something about building alliances instead of just making enemies. We know about turning competitors into partners. Sam pulled out his damaged communicator and managed to activate its data storage. Images appeared in the air above the device, showing scenes from human space. The holographic display revealed human colonies working peacefully alongside other alien species. The Zerati people gasped as they watched the images. They saw humans and aliens trading goods, sharing technology, and working together on massive construction projects. Children of different species played together in gardens that bloomed under foreign suns. Impossible, the council leader whispered. No species cooperates willingly with outsiders. Humans do, Sam said simply. And so do the Centauri, the Morphic Collective, and 12 other species in our alliance. We're stronger together than any of us could be alone. Zara moved to stand beside Sam as the holographic images continued to play. This is what Zara tried to tell Council. Peace brings prosperity. War brings only death. The rescued Zerati were mesmerized by the peaceful scenes. They had never imagined that different species could live and work together, without one dominating the others. Their society had taught them that the universe was a battlefield where only the strongest survived. But the council leader was not convinced. Pretty pictures prove nothing. These alliances will collapse the moment resources become scarce. Only the Zerati Empire endures because we take what we need by force. Your empire is already collapsing, Zara said sadly. Half our worlds are in rebellion. Our military grows weaker with each campaign. The people lose faith in leaders who send them to die for empty victories, as if to prove her point. A new group of Zerati arrived at the tower. These were not council members, but ordinary citizens from the Crystal City. They looked tired and afraid, carrying news from their home worlds. The Centauri colonies have declared independence, one messenger reported. Our garrison forces were outnumbered and destroyed. 3 more systems have stopped sending tribute. Another messenger stepped forward. The mining worlds of Vega refuse to ship resources. They say the council cares nothing for workers' safety and everything for profit. The council leader's scarred face twisted with rage. Then we will crush these rebellions with overwhelming force. We will remind the galaxy why the Zerati Empire is feared. With what forces? Zara asked pointedly. Half our fleet is destroyed. Our best generals are dead. Our people are exhausted from constant warfare. How many more Zerati must die to preserve your idea of strength? The debate might have continued for hours, but it was interrupted by an unexpected sound from above. Everyone looked up to see a large spacecraft descending through the purple sky. The vessel was sleek and white, clearly of human design. Sam's heart leaped with hope. That's a colony ship. Other humans have found this world. The ship landed in an open area beyond the Crystal City. Within minutes, figures in human spacesuits were walking across the desert toward the towers. Sam recognized the uniforms of the human colonial fleet, but the council leaders saw only an opportunity. Perfect! We will destroy these invaders and show the galaxy that the Zerati Empire is still strong. They're not invaders, Sam protested. They're explorers, just like I was. They probably detected my ship's crash beacon. The council leader ignored Sam's words. He activated a communication device and began giving orders to Zerati forces throughout the region. Within minutes, armed flyers were rising from hidden bases among the crystal formations. Zara grabbed Sam's arm urgently. Council will attack human ship. We must warn your people. Sam looked at the approaching human figures, then at the Zerati attack craft moving to intercept them. His fellow humans had no idea they were flying into a trap. Their colony ship was designed for exploration and settlement, not warfare. We need to reach them first, Sam said. He turned to the rescued Zerati people. Will you help us save innocent lives? The elderly female Zerati nodded immediately. Sam saved our lives during Crystal Storm. We will help save his people. But the council leader blocked their path with his energy staff. No one leaves this tower. You will watch as we demonstrate proper Zerati strength. That was when Zara made her move. She had been learning human fighting techniques by watching Sam during their time together. Now she used his lessons about surprise and speed to disarm the council leader before he could react. Zara's hand struck the energy staff, sending it flying across the crystal floor. Her other hand grabbed the council leader's throat with surprising strength. You will not harm innocent humans while Zara lives. The other council members raised their weapons. But the rescued Zerati moved to defend Zara and Sam. What had started as a political argument became a brief but fierce battle inside the Crystal Tower. Sam fought alongside Zara and their supporters, using his knowledge of human combat tactics to help coordinate their defense. But they were outnumbered, and the council members were trained warriors. The fighting ended when an explosion rocked the tower from outside. Through the crystal walls, they could see the Zerati attack craft engaging the human colony ship in aerial combat. Bright energy beams lit up the purple sky as the two forces clashed. "The humans don't have military escorts," Sam said with growing alarm. "Their ship has minimal weapons. They'll be destroyed." Zara looked at Sam with determination blazing in her star-filled eyes. "Then we stop this madness ourselves." She turned to address all the Zerati in the tower, both council members and civilians. "Look outside. See what your war-making has brought us. We fight each other while potential friends burn in our sky. This is not strength. This is madness." Even some of the council members seemed shaken by the violence erupting around them. They had expected a quick victory against a defenseless colony ship. Instead, they were witnessing a desperate battle that could have been avoided entirely. Zara continued speaking, her voice carrying the authority of a true queen. "Sam showed us another path. He risked his life to save Zerati he had never met. He offered friendship where we offered only conquest. Which choice makes us stronger?" The elderly female Zerati stepped forward to support her former queen. "Zara speaks truth. This human saved us from Crystal Storm. His people might have been our allies, but Council chose war instead." More rescued Zerati joined their voices to Zara's. They spoke about Sam's courage and compassion. They described the peaceful images they had seen in his holographic display. They demanded an end to the senseless violence. The council leader tried to reassert his authority, but his own warriors were beginning to doubt. They had seen too much death in recent wars. They were tired of fighting battles that served no purpose except to preserve the council's power. While the political argument raged inside the tower, the aerial battle outside was reaching a critical point. The human colony ship was badly damaged and trying to retreat, but Zerati fighters were closing in for the killing blow. Sam could not bear to watch his people die. He broke away from the group and ran toward the tower's upper levels. If he could reach the communication array at the top, he might be able to contact the colony ship and warn them about Zerati tactics. Zara followed Sam up the spiral path. Behind them, they could hear the argument continuing among the Zerati. The old order was cracking, but change was coming too slowly to save the humans under attack. They reached the top of the tower just as a Zerati fighter fired on the colony ship's main engine. The human vessel shuddered and began to fall toward the planet's surface. Escape pods launched from the dying ship, carrying survivors toward an uncertain fate on the hostile world. "No," Sam whispered. Watching his people's ship burn and crash in the distance, Zara placed her hand on Sam's shoulder. "Not all are lost. Escape pods landed safely. We can still save many humans." But even as she spoke, Zerati ground forces were moving toward the crash sites. The council leader had ordered the capture of any survivors for interrogation and eventual execution. Sam felt rage building in his chest, but he forced himself to think clearly. Anger would not save the human survivors. He needed to be smart about this rescue. "Can you contact the loyal Zerati?" Sam asked Zara, "The ones who helped us in the tower." Zara nodded and activated an emergency communication system built into the tower's structure. Her voice carried across the crystal city as she spoke in her own language, calling for all Zerati who valued honor over conquest to join her cause. The response was better than either of them had hoped. Dozens of Zerati emerged from hiding places throughout the city. These were citizens who had grown tired of endless wars and senseless violence. They were ready to follow their exiled queen in a different direction. Within an hour, Sam and Zara had assembled a small army of rebel Zerati. They were not professional soldiers, but they knew the land and they were motivated by a desire for change. Sam taught them basic human military tactics while Zara organized them into effective units. The combination of human strategic thinking and Zerati technology created a force unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Their first mission was to rescue the human survivors before the Council's forces could capture them. Sam led a team of Zerati volunteers toward the nearest crash site. Moving carefully across the crystal desert, they found 12 humans alive in the wreckage of an escape pod. Most were scientists and colonists with no military training. They looked terrified when they saw the approaching Zerati, expecting to be killed or captured. "It's all right," Sam called out in English. "These Zerati are friends. They're here to help." The rescued humans could barely believe what they were hearing. The idea that aliens would risk their lives to save human strangers seemed impossible. But Sam's presence and Zera's gentle manner soon convinced them that this alliance was real. Over the next several hours, Sam and Zera's forces rescued more human survivors from across the crash area. They also intercepted several council patrols, liberating Zerati prisoners who had been arrested for refusing to participate in the attack. But their success brought unwanted attention. The council leader himself arrived with a large force of loyal warriors, determined to crush the rebellion. Before it could spread, the final confrontation took place on a wide plain, between towering crystal formations. Sam and Zera stood with their mixed force of humans and rebel Zerati, facing a professional army that outnumbered them 3-1. "Surrender now," the council leader announced through amplified voice system. "Return the human prisoners and submit to proper authority. Your rebellion ends here." Zera stepped forward to answer. "The only thing ending here is your reign of terror. The Zerati people choose a new path. Then you choose death," the council leader replied. The battle that followed was fierce but brief. Sam's tactical knowledge combined with Zera's understanding of Zerati weaknesses proved decisive. The rebels used the crystal formations for cover, while striking at key points in the council's formation. But victory came at a terrible cost. During the fighting, the council leader broke through the rebel lines and attacked Zera directly. Sam threw himself between them, taking an energy blast that was meant for the Zerati queen. Sam collapsed to the crystal sand, his chest burned and bleeding. The energy weapon had damaged his heart and lungs severely. Human medical technology might save him, but there were no human doctors on this alien world. Zera knelt beside Sam's fallen form, her star-filled eyes bright with tears. Around them, the battle was ending as more Zerati joined the rebellion. The council leader lay defeated, his supporters scattered or surrendering. But Sam was dying, and Zera felt her heart breaking. This human who had taught her people about compassion and wisdom was paying the ultimate price for protecting her. "Sam," she whispered, holding his head in her lap. "Please stay with Zera." Sam tried to smile despite his pain. "Did we win?" "Yes, Sam. Zerati people follow you now. Council is finished. Your sacrifice saves both our species." "Good," Sam said weakly. "Worth it then." But Zera was not willing to lose him. She had learned about an ancient Zerati healing technique that could save Sam's life. But it required an enormous sacrifice on her part. Without hesitation, Zera began the ritual that would share her extended lifespan with Sam. Zerati lived for centuries, while humans lived for decades. By bonding their life forces together, she could heal his injuries and give him years he would never have had otherwise. The process was dangerous and painful for both of them. Silver light flowed from Zera's hands into Sam's wounded body. His burns began to heal as her life energy repaired the damage to his organs. But the cost was permanent. Zera would now age at the same rate as Sam instead of living her normal extended lifespan. They would grow old together and die together, their fates forever intertwined. When the healing was complete, Sam opened his eyes and looked up at Zera's beautiful face. "What did you do?" Zera gives Sam gift of shared life, she replied in perfect English. Her language skills had improved dramatically during their time together. "Now we have same years to spend. Zera belongs to Sam, and Sam belongs to Zera." Sam sat up slowly, amazed that his terrible wounds had healed completely. But he could see the exhaustion in Zera's face and understood what she had sacrificed for him. "You gave up centuries of life to save me," he said with wonder. "Life has no meaning without love." Zera replied simply. Sam taught Zera this truth around them. The surviving Zerati knelt in acknowledgement of their queen's sacrifice. They had witnessed something unprecedented in their species' history. Their ruler had chosen love over power, connection over conquest. In the days that followed, Sam and Zera worked together to rebuild Zerati society. The old council system was replaced with a democratic government that included representatives from all social classes. The endless wars of conquest were ended, replaced by peaceful exploration and trade. The rescued human colonists became the first ambassadors of a new interstellar alliance. They helped negotiate treaties between the Zerati Empire and dozens of other species. What had begun as a crashed exploration ship became the foundation for galactic peace. Sam's tactical genius and Zer's political wisdom proved to be an unstoppable combination. Together, they created the first truly equal partnership between different species. Their love story became a legend that inspired peaceful cooperation across the galaxy. Years later, when Sam and Zer stood together before the first Interspecies Council, she looked into his eyes and spoke the words that had changed everything. "I belong to you, Earthling," she said with a smile that lit up the chamber. "And you belong to me. Together, we belong to the stars." The alien queen and her human partner had indeed found their place in the universe, not as conquerors, but as builders of bridges between worlds that had once seemed impossible to cross.